Beginning of my video. Boom!
Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer!
Hello,
Hello, Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things. It was over in a snap.
We really want it. Alright, we'll be nice.
Only you can be a Patreon.
Oh my gosh!
Look out.
You don't need to follow the show to be hyped.
So we are going to talk about the first 4 episodes of season 2. Like the title is not misleading. It is actually what we're going to talk about. If you were here for our section 375, you know what I'm talking about. So, like last time it was not live, but last time we went over season 1 in one video. It's about 45 minutes. It's on the channel. Check it out if you haven't done so yet. And social distancing is cool. And we are going to go through the same kind of style. We're going to look at each title, talk about what it could mean. I am referring to a website. Most of the information from the title is from a website. And this is from GQ. And this is by GQ India, Varutka Shah. So Varutka Shah, I'm using a lot of cool. So I want to make sure I definitely give him some props for his due diligence. But let's go ahead and jump into season 2. For me and Gabe, back into this world from taking a hiatus with Family Man, Mirzapur, and many other things. It seems like it's been forever, but I think it's only been like a month or two. And it's itching to get some Gaitonde screen time. Believe it or not, I love myself some Gaitonde as well. I just like Sartaj a little bit more. Sacrilege, but I think Gaitonde is an excellent character because Nawaz is the best.
The actor who plays Sartaj doesn't even like himself better than he likes Ganesh Gaitonde, bro.
Oh man, he's coming at me hard right now. Cal. All right, so we have Saif Ali Khan, Nawaz, Pankaj, Kalki. Appearances here in season 2 as the actors. And when season 2 starts, there's 13 days left to save the populated city. I think it's Mumbai. So we got Jody checking out the comments for us. She'll be able to let us know if anything, that we need to take our attention to. But we're going to go right into our thoughts. So that's okay with you, Gabe. And episode 1 is called Matsya. And that is a Sanskrit word that translates to fish. Because he starts off after being rescued from the prison from season 1. In the past, he starts off on a boat in season 2, and they're feeding him fish. It didn't take long to realize that he is not a fish lover. I mean, he's biting the hand of the guy. Get that fish. I want some chicken, or I want something right now. In Hindu mythology, was the beginning of evolution, the beginning or evolution. It is also the first avatar Lord Vishnu on Earth who saved the world from deluge. Big flood. And so Guruji, the guru played by Pankaj, also Tripathi from Mirzapur, he mentions that humanity evolved. Interesting that they bring that into the illustration for episode 1 has a fish right in the middle. And I've noticed, I didn't notice this in season 1, I've noticed that those middle have a lot to do with the mythology or the meaning. And then Gaitonde, he was lost at sea and he was sick of eating fish. So there's a lot of with the episode metaphorically and quite literally. What are your thoughts on episode 1, Mr. Gabe?
You know what, dude? Slow. It was so slow. It felt like it took forever. The pacing was off. I mean, you leave off season 2 with all this stuff happening where, they just bring my boy Ganesh out of jail, right? So you're expecting to pick up right after that, and you kind of do. And then also them discovering the body in the basement and finding out, oh man, there may be a nuclear bomb or something to that effect. And then it slows to a halt, bro. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, don't get me wrong, my boy Ganesh still does a great job, and my boy Nawaz, but as Ganesh, he does such a fabulous job. And you can even see his spirit that, look, he's on a boat. He doesn't want to eat the fish. He eventually ends up breaking his way out of there, so they know who they're messing with, because this boy is no joke. He's not just gonna stay there like some captive, you know what I mean? But it just was the first episode. I felt like, especially the parts where Nawaz wasn't there, the future timeline or the present day timeline, I should say, I felt it so slow and so hard to follow. You know what I mean?
No way. You know, I love myself some Sartaj. I didn't think I would just from the trailer. He didn't seem like an engaging character, and he is more reserved, and he's not as personable, if I can say that about character. Not that he's personable, but he's very out there and in your face. Just so you know, Gabe, someone already stole your idea. They call himself Gabe Gaitonde, so you're already out of luck on that one.
No,
In the room right now. But with episode one, I agree with you. So I felt like episode one was 2 or 3 hours long. It was very slow. It was tough to get back into that feel. I will say, after watching his first 4 episodes, I am definitely back into the feel of the show. One was not my favorite either. It was slow. Some of my thoughts, I say, and again, we're not going to do a recap of each episode because that just takes too long. I'll mention a few things. We have this lady that saves Gaitonde and puts him to work. He wants to get Issa, and he cares about nothing else. So there's a lot. Of course, Sartaj, he's right there. He got a promotion, which is awesome. And he now is kind of in charge of that Mohit guy. I think it was before he was following his lead. So he's got his promotion. He's kind of freed himself from Peruklar a little bit because now you have, I'm not sure what the IS or whatever that division, that federal government group with the investigation. And so he's dealing with that, and he's got that wounded limb. He's got that thumb, right, that got chopped off?
Yeah.
I can't remember which finger it was. Thumb, okay.
It was a thumb.
But I mean, he's got that, and he's dealing with that. And episode one was definitely long, but I actually, in episode one, I enjoyed the Sartaj stuff a little more than I enjoyed the Nawaz stuff, just because Nawaz he's death. This guy, season one, you become a fan of his, even though I like the good guys, like the bad guys. I was a big Nawaz Gaitonde fan, and you see him destitute, and you see him, and we don't like seeing our hero that way. So that's what we got for episode one. Do you want to give some information on the title for episode two, or you want me to go for it?
No, you could go ahead and do that. I would say though, episode one really, one of the things that set up though was how much bigger, and they even allude to it later on, the world is, or this specific situation is, than just Mumbai and Issa and our boy Nawaz. You know what I mean? Because the lady, I forget her name, she does a fabulous job in the first 4 episodes. She plays. I'm looking for it right now. Like the lady that works for the government. What's Yada? Her real name is
Yada's character.
Amutra. Yeah, Amutra Subhasha. She's amazing. She does such a great job acting, and you realize like this is the first time you've seen my boy Nawaz put on a leash, so to speak, and I was like, what is going on? And she's just letting them know how it is. Like, look, you work for me, basically. I broke you out of jail, and
Gangster, man. She does not try to hold that back at all. She by the throat.
And it was like to see him like, emasculated like that. I was like, what just happened, dude? But I love it because now you got another strong character in there. I've never liked Issa's character, by the way, even though he's supposed to be this gangster Don, to me, he's just so quiet, so laid back, so reserved. Never really liked his character, but I see her really being.
They don't give us much about him, and we get Issa, so I agree with you. We don't have much to go off of with him. Arjit says that she plays the mom in Gully Boy. I did not make that connection at all, so good call.
Yeah, she did a great job. But yeah, move on to episode 2.
All right, so episode 2 is called Saduri, and it is a ancient poem called the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I have not read this poem, but I have heard of Gilgamesh many, many times in many shows. She helped Saduri helped Gilgamesh conquer his death. and so she nurtures him when he was weak. Which in this show, she's Yadav. Yadav is that Siduri character who helps out Gaitonde weak. I mean, he's got nowhere to ready to get into prison until he gets that call from the guru. Gets freed from Yadav and her and stuff, but she definitely brought him back from the dead and helps him conquer that death. And then also, you also have this Kalki character played. Kalki plays the character of Baki was in Martyr with a Straw and a few other things I've noticed in trailers. She actually quotes Gilgamesh and acts later on, not in this episode, but later on as Hajj. So that Siduri character can be both of those female characters in different ways, but probably more related to Lost Gabe. We'll get him back. There he is. More related to the Yadav character, I would say.
Episode 2 again wasn't my favorite so far of the first 4 we're going to be reviewing. As it moved on, you did get a little bit more character development for your boy Sataj. They really focused on him this season, and I've started to like him a little bit. Okay, I started to like him a little bit. He's growing on me, so to speak. You start seeing his mettle now that he's in charge and he doesn't have other superiors kind of foiling his investigation. Again, Gaitonde steals the show, man. He's so good in every single scene he's in. He reminds me of Don Cheadle, man. Other actors in Hollywood, bro, they hate acting with Don Cheadle because they call him the scene stealer. Like, I remember watching Ocean's 11, behind the scenes, like commentary between Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and Matt Damon. And they're like, dude, I read my script now before time, and I need to know how many scenes I'm in there with him, because if I don't get enough alone time, I'm not doing the project. It was so funny. They call him the scene stealer. And that's what Ganesh is. Every single time he comes up, he's the scene stealer. Now, I did like that in this episode. This is the one where he sees that his friend from the original, his original gang, right? That helped him get into power. Not Bunty. Yeah, we do find Bunty again. But the other guy, remember? Oh, what's his name?
Oh, yeah. The guy who's hooking up with the married woman.
Which is so dumb, by the way. So dumb. It's got me so mad. Like, this is going to cause some friction. Like, dude, you can find tons of other chicks to hook up with. You got to hook up with her? What's wrong with you? It made me so mad.
When you find love, you find love. I mean, I don't know. I like this episode a lot. I really did. Someone's mentioning, a few people right now as we're going on that they didn't watch season 2. They heard it was bad. We heard the same thing. I'm telling you right now, halfway through, I'm actually really enjoying season 2. That's going to be a review for the first half. I'm enjoying this season a whole lot. And I'm not sure if I'm enjoying it more than season 1, but once you get past the 4.5 episodes, I feel like for me, I really got engaged. And so episode 2 started with that. You have Gaitonde. He's obsessed with Issa. And so more reason because we like Gaitonde. And that is Gaitonde's number one enemy. And he's been protected, and he's such a guy who doesn't really care. We see him later on in this season, but basically there's a point where Gaitonde gets a chance to go after him. In it, he can't wait, because for him, the main reason he joined up with Yadav, besides because he was desperate, the main reason he's being her errand boy is because she promised Issa get that chance to get back at Issa, which is what he wants, maybe even more than his obsession to get back to prominence and power in India. We see this opportunity where we get Zoya, or Jamila, which she was previously known as. They get back together. They got kind of like a relationship going on. This private plane set up by his friend. We got to figure out his name, what his friend's name is. Maybe they can help us out. And you have this cool scene. Guy walks in with a long hair. They do the chloroform towel. They get it all set up. But of course, it's not Issa. And so, and even not just that, but he was warned, and he still sent his SUVs to get gunned down as pawns. I mean, that's pretty cold. Why not just not send anyone, period? But I mean, he obviously does not care about his men.
Issa's cold-blooded.
Very interesting. I liked how Gaitonde is kind of he's a desperate man, and all he wants to do is go after Issa. And typically, kind of shows in these kind of movies when you're desperate and you're a gangster, that doesn't work out too well.
Well, I will say this though. One of the things that you start picking up is how conniving Issa really is, where you alluded to it. He was warned and he still sent his men over there just to mess with Gaitonde, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, some dudes got killed, my body double got killed, doesn't really matter to me. And you can see how pissed Gaitonde was. What this season is doing though, it's showing where all the relationships were formed. You know what I mean? Where now you understand why Jamil is so close to Gaitonde, where their relationship was there. The relationship between Gaitonde and what's Jamil's handler? The other woman,
JoJo, who after halfway through, I'm liking that character a whole lot more than I did in season 1 because we get a little more meat from her.
Oh yeah, I love JoJo. So I mean, it's giving you a lot of backstory to the first season. Is it better than season 1? In my opinion, no. But is it trash? Absolutely not, dude. I mean,
well, you're only
it's
halfway
a lot slow.
through. I definitely don't think it's trash. I'm enjoying a lot, and just selfish admission here. I actually already watched episode 5 because I couldn't wait to go past that and to stop. And episode 5 is my favorite entire season.
We agreed only the first 4 episodes. What are you doing to me?
Nawaz. I got the inner Nawaz right now.
You know what? I see you with the Thanos shirt on, man. So you're coming over to the dark side. So I'll allow it. But episode 3, which you can get the title for right now, really picks up. Okay, episode 1 and 2 are a little slow, but it's giving you a lot of backstory that you need. You know what I mean? Without it just being an exposition dump. But now episode 3 and 4, it picks up. And basically, just to give a little context before you start giving the title for episode 3 and the information, by episode 2, you already start seeing that Gaitonde starts establishing themselves, but they're no longer in India. Now they're in Africa, okay? In Kenya, right? They're in Kenya. So now he's establishing himself over there in the drug trade over there. And he's got this local Indian guy who's not really a gangster and has some male issues or performance issues, to say the best. And Gaitonde is building him up as a gangster because that's what Yadav wants, okay? Basically, he's really, in short time, I mean, it's episode 2, the scene where Gaitonde walks into the casino with the dude. That was just classic Gaitonde. He's like, man, you don't want to run. You want to go shoot him right in the face so everybody knows who you are and then walk back out. Let everybody just go back to their business. It was classic, dude. And
you would remember that above anything else.
Bro, and
so we got a few questions.
Has to put in the work for him.
We got a few questions I want to address real quick. They asked, do I have notes here? And someone said you print off the article. I have my handwriting from the article from the GQ, and I have the episodes. So I kind of have both. And I'm not sure if that's cheating or not, but it helps me stay focused on what I want to do. Also, they mentioned that the friend's name is Matthew, and so that's awesome. And then they also mentioned that the husband that Mathu's wife he was cheating on, the husband's sterile. So that's why her skin in the game is she wants to get herself pregnant. And I didn't pick up on that. So that's an interesting note right there. But she definitely makes it very clear. She's like, I'm not in here for love. I love my husband. So, don't treat me this way. Don't do that. And we were wrong by the trailer, by the way. When we see that scene of that love scene, we thought that was Gaitonde. So he obviously learned a few things from Gaitonde.
Apple didn't fall far from the tree, you know what I mean? Batandu's like his son, it was one of his followers, so he must have taught him a few things. But
all right,
anyway,
so
episode 3.
Let's talk about what the title is. Episode 3, yes. And the thing I like about season 2 is they're calling it episode 11. So they're continuing on with the story as if seasons 1 and 2 is just one story. I really like that. So episode 3 is called who is the god of ego and arrogance. He needs attention. Sound familiar to someone? He angered Lord Shiva by Shiva made his ears burst from doing the Tandav, which we did a reaction to earlier. Shiva put his feet on the demon And so Gaitonde plans to reemerge. He wants to get back to Mumbai. He wants to be in charge of his group. He wants to be dealing and do it. That obsession is not happening for him. So eventually, at the end of the episode, he goes to the guru and he lays his head next to the guru's feet. So it's very symbolic, very metaphorical that way. This episode, we really get into the inner psyche of Gaitonde.
Right.
I'm not sure if this is the one where he's focused on making his movie. That might have been episode 4.
No. It's episode 3.
He figures if I make a movie about my life, they'll remember me, because he gets it in his ear that no one cares about him. No one remembers him. No one's talking about him. They have a very interesting relationship. They have a very love-hate relationship, more on the hate side. I think there's some mutual respect there, but he is just so he just keeps going back for more punishment. She wants nothing to do with him for the most part. She loves harassing him, but she tells him no one's even talking about you. And she knew that was going to. He decides, I'm going to make a movie and I'm going to star Zoya, which we find out that's how she got her start in the movie career. And, they get this big time director at all. He's checking his text messages constantly. But I really enjoyed that of them making the movie, making it Bollywood with the songs. Some of the effects were really bad, like where the guy's bullet holes or whatever. But that was very, very interesting for me.
No, I'll tell you what, man. This was probably my favorite episode of the 4 so far, because you get to see Gaitonde's the best and the worst of him. Okay, the best and the worst of him. The thing about Gaitonde is, just like the title infers, all right, he loves himself so much. Okay, he's so into himself, his ego, his pride. It eats him that nobody's talking about him. So what does he do? He wants to go ahead and make a movie about himself. Now, I'll tell you right now, people are like, oh, that's crazy. How does that make sense? But one of the biggest gangsters here in America, in the United States, true story, John Gotti, when John Gotti was going through his whole thing, he was concerned with how the press took pictures of him. All right. He would not come out unless he was in a $2,000-$3,000 suit, because he knew he was going to be on the front page of the paper. When they were doing a movie, he wanted to know who was going to play him. These guys, when they have that kind of ego, yes, that's, all they care about. And he makes this movie. And I really love what JoJo told him. She said, man, you made this movie and you try to be a hero. And the problem is you're not a hero. You should have made it more believable. You should just embrace what you are. Embrace that you're a villain. She used the word villain, which I love. And then she said, you're gangsters. Gangsters don't dance. You got Amitabh Bachchan, which I'm assuming that's who they say played him in this. You got Amitabh Bachchan in there dancing. Gangsters don't dance. You know what I mean? People would have respected it more if and feared you more if you played yourself, but you wanted to play somebody different, a different role, a good guy. You should just give that up and embrace who you are. I love JoJo's character here, kind of put him in his place, letting him know who he is. And I love this episode. It was one of my favorite. It's funny, like you said, the director at one point didn't care, and he's like, man, you're crazy, this movie's crazy, but kind of like blowing off Ganesh, right? And then he's trying to say something, and then Ganesh pulls out the gun. He's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's no problem. Like, bro, don't get it twisted. Yeah, well, I'm making a movie, but I'm still a gangster, right? I'll splatter you all over this place, bro.
But it's amazing the performance of Nawaz here, because he is showing a vulnerable side of his character, which I can't imagine how hard that is. I think for actors that are good actors, it's easy to be vulnerable because that's what they have to do. But to show a character who's hardcore, showing his vulnerable side to where he's going out on an extreme limb to being desperate and making a movie. They would never do that because he wants to be remembered. He wants to go back to his old life so badly. He wants to get away from Yadav and all this stuff. That to me is really, really. We can't forget about Sartaj. You can't forget about my boy Sartaj. He's got his stuff going on, and it's really interesting because that storyline really starts to. They have identified this other. I'm not sure if they're a terrorist group or just another gang group called the Hazuddin by Shahan, he makes an appearance in both timelines. And Gaitonde at one point is told by Yadav, you got to take this guy out or do something. And so this guy's making his presence known. And then obviously it never happened because we see in the future that this guy in for Sartaj and their men. They're trying to investigate him. Possibly, maybe they're behind this chemical warfare. And then, I mean, there's a lot going on. They, not just that, but let's see. Gaitonde, he wants to have his legacy. He's making money, but no one knows. He tries the tea from the guru. And that's a big part because this tea, this drug that they've created at the Asham, is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And so the guru is very smart. He has this big old long end game on us. So he uses Nawaz, lets him make money off it, but still no one's given the notoriety he wants. So eventually, when he gets really mad at Yadav, what does she tell him? What does she ask of him?
Well, what happens is he has an opportunity to kill Issa, and she's like, no, we need Issa alive because we need you to make a peace treaty with him and a deal because he's going to lead us to this other terrorist who's more dangerous. She's a patriot. She's a true patriot. You know, her storyline is so amazing, man. And I don't know why, but I always had a thought of, there was this documentary that was on YouTube about who was the American spy, dude, the spy of all spies, and on his deathbed was talking about the Kennedy assassination. E. Howard Hunt. And somebody who has basically committed their life to service for their country. Her only motivation is her country, India. That's all she cares about. She doesn't care about Issa. She doesn't care about Gaitonde. She cares about India and whatever is in the best interest of India. But at the end, you see her in the future and you see that she's failed because she didn't, meet her objective. And she's this old broken lady. She's kind of senile. The vulnerability in that scene was amazing to me. And you realize, like, man, she's thinking back at this point, like, she only gets fragments. She can't even remember everything she did for her country. So it was a real tragic figure. And to me, that was E. Howard Hunt. I mean, this guy was the guy that was involved in the Whitewater scandal with Nixon, breaking in, or Watergate scandal, I should say, breaking into the White House or whatever it was, a DNC Republican convention, still in the paperwork. And this guy was the spy of all spies, bro. And at the end, you see this, his son made this video with him, and he was so old, broken, and vulnerable. And we're like, this is like the real James Bond. This was the dude that was a spy of all spies. And it was just sad. And that's just the feeling I had for Yadav the entire time. I was sad for her, man. And the actress did an unbelievable job. But
yeah, the actress does a great job. But it's so funny how we look at these things differently because I can't. The actress is fantastic. The character I could not stand the entire time. I still can't stand her. But it's interesting that you absolutely love her. Arjit sent us a super chat for 40. Thanks so much, Arjit. He says the actress played JoJo. She has a movie named Parts. So I took a picture of that. We'll do reacting, maybe reviewing. Thanks a lot for that. There's a more episode 3 I wanted to get to. I put that Peralkar comes after Gaitonde. So once he gets the movie, he tells save you a seat. She says there's no way I'm going, and she doesn't. He has his little Austin Powers disguise going on, sitting there, and he's waiting for her. Yeah, he's waiting, and it was just the teeth and the longer goatee really made him look different. But he eventually leaves because it's just so bad, and he's with his boys, and then the police are coming after him because, I mean, there's a death order on this guy, and he made the movie premiere, which is crazy. And so Peralkar pulls him over, and he's about just to take him out right there. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Before that happens, he tells this number. He knows he's got to go back to Yadav, have her save me, basically. They do that. She calls Peralkar at the last minute. She's got dirt on everybody. I mean, she is not unturned. And she tells him with a threat, you want this going out or not? So let him go right now. And
that's why I was shocked a minute ago when you say you don't love her character, bro. She's the ultimate gangster in this world full of criminals and gangsters.
I'm looking through it, and she's bringing this guy down. She's disrespecting my boy Gaitonde, and I can't allow it. Is she not awesome? If not, of course. But and she does a phenomenal job in a very powerful role, where she's very, very focused and secure in that can't stand the character itself. And then we get introduced to these twins. So these twins, these kind of violent twins, and this girl Nazarene. I mean, a whole lot going on. They get quarantined because talk about relative today. They have this radiation from these the nuclear chemical, and this is Sartaj's timeline. And so they get these twins, and they're trying to figure out, okay, something's happened to them. Maybe they can give us some information on these warheads. Sartaj lands more about. Oh, he learns more about the Guru place. He has a fallout he has to deal with because his partner, our boy that got killed in season 1, his partner's son's going down a deep road, a dark road, a violent road, all this kind of stuff. I mean, he's got a whole lot of stuff going on, and this really humanizes Sartaj. And one of the things I love about Sartaj, I mentioned to you, Gabe, through text message, I love Saif Ali Khan's portrayal of Sartaj because a small thing like his hurt thumb, he keeps that protected the entire time. I mean, he's not gingerly holding that hand and trying to protect it. And that's complete focus by Khan. I love his portrayal of Sartaj. He does not let one out us knowing that he is still in severe pain. And I've seen too many times in movies where someone gets shot or stabbed in a very, vulnerable area, and then and karate kicks like it's no problem whatsoever. He is very committed. I got to give a huge shout out to Khan because he is the man. Sartaj.
No, he definitely has impressed me this season, and I think that they've done a lot more building his character. Again, what they're doing this season is giving him enough backstory where we can appreciate now the relationship between him and his wife, the way it broke apart. We can also see where he is a good police officer, and I think that the issue was he was being held back by Peruka and the other officers that were around him. But really, I kind of knew from the beginning that what was going to happen in episode 4 was going to happen, because come on, how long is Gaitonde going to be somebody's lapdog? That's not going to happen. All right. He doesn't work for anybody. And I mean, do you want to go ahead and get into it right away?
So are we going to episode 4?
Episode 4.
All right. Episode Fardo. And it's, or we should say episode 12, but it's in Hindu mythology. It's a term that can be a transition between life and death, where one can have the highest level of clarity. So you're in that position, that vulnerable state, have some clarity. So that is between reemerging. Do I go back and take the risk? Do I go back to Yadav, or do I go to this cult and join the Guru? So Guru Ji advises him through a phone call at his birthday party. He has this really interesting conversation where he tells him Katja. And I had to rewatch this a few times because I wanted to make sure I got every iota of this story and what it was saying. And he's talking who is this character that eventually gets the elixir. He goes to the underworld from the gods, gets this elixir, or learns about this elixir because he was killed. Fell in love with, wants to bring him back, gives him this elixir, and it brings him back to life, and he's able to have many more lives for the rest of his existence. He's able just to so the Guru tells Gaitonde, you are Katja, and you need to be able to destroy your elder self so that you can reemerge. And Gaitonde, he's upset. He's not having fun at his birthday party, all that kind of stuff. And he asked the question, how do I do that? And so he is fully submitting to his third father, and we kind of passed that a little bit,
right?
And who he's visited at the ashram. He is ready to fully commit because obviously he doesn't want to go back to. He's not ready to go back to India. So Guru, in his mind, is his best option. But not just that, but I believe he honestly believes in the Guru. He questions him a few times. Do you really know everything? And sure enough, this guy, he puts on a really good act and acts all knowing. So that whole character and the way Pan perfectly. I mean, Pankaj, we all know we know all things. He is so he's so into this character. Not skip a beat. And it's interesting that this guy's in everything. He was in Mirzapur and Sacred Games, two of our best shows of all time. and he plays two of them both so well.
Way different characters, which shows you his range in acting. You know what I mean? He goes from being the Don and the gangster in Mizupar to here, he's this guru. You know what I mean? He's very, very. I mean, he's still manipulative. You can see that. You know what I mean? But he's very reserved and he's very stoic in his performance. You know. I tell you what, this episode, you know, you knew that it was gonna get to the point where, again, you can't keep a caged, you know, a caged animal like you gotta understand. This guy has no fear. From season 1 going back to Guy Tonde's emerges becoming a gangster. Remember the whole Tiger scene where at first, you know, Tiger walked in the room and he wasn't afraid, and then when he was in the hospital, like, how could you be subservient to anyone? And he even told her, like, look, I'm gonna do what I want to do for myself. You know, I understand what you're doing for the country, but you know what's going on in India is not my problem. My problem is Issa, bottom line. And the minute that she made him, you know, he had the meeting with Issa where Issa's like, listen, money doesn't matter to me. If you want me to give this guy up, what I want is an Indian passport. And they're having this conversation, and then Issa basically disrespects him and was like, yeah, you may leave now. And I mean, he just basically, like, to Guy Tonde, who's like knows he wants to rip his head off, he's humiliating him there, making him become subservient to him. And that was his breaking point right there. He's like, no, this isn't gonna fly. So he goes and does,
and that's the biggest mistake that Issa made. He can't accept a win when he has a win. He has to jab that knife in a little bit more. Guy Tonde is not going to forget that. There's a lot that goes on. There's a point in this episode where Guy Tonde can Shalid Khan by putting the bomb underneath the car, and Shalid Khan's coming out of the party, and right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and so he has his point where he's able to do that, but he makes the decision. He's his own finally. He's making a decision for himself, not being controlled by any puppet master. And he says no. And so he shoots off the bomb before it hurts anybody, which is going to make huge issues for obviously Sartaj and the future. But he says, no, I'm not going to be somebody's lapdog. I'm going to do what I want to do is I want to go to the ashram, and I want to, you know, find how I can kill my elder self so I can reemerge as something bigger and better. Because the most important thing to him is his legacy. About people are going to remember me. People are going to talk about me long after I'm gone. I've been gone for just a few months. People have already forgotten about me, or a few years, excuse me. People have already forgotten about me. Right. So he makes that decision, and I thought that was an interesting but powerful decision right there. That was really cool to watch. Also, we have Sartaj. He's in the ashram himself by Bhatia, and he drinks the tea. You know, he takes the pill, and he's dealing with his own personal stuff. He's dealing with not with his dad in the past, but he's trying to figure out how he can get over his partner dying, taking the responsibility of how basically it was his fault, even though he saved my tribe. And so when they take that Gochi, they're able to get to the heart of the matter, face their fears, so to speak. He does that later on. You know, we wonder how is that going to affect him later on in the show. But I thought that going down a similar path as Ganesh. He wants to know everything about Ganesh. I believe that's why he's there, right? Because he wants to figure out what, who, and all these pieces have. But I think also inside he had his own issues he wanted to attack, so that's why he was willing to take the Gochi.
Right. And I mean, one of the things that, again, this season has done is give him some backstory where everybody fits. So we find out that Malcolm is a part of this church, right? The crazy psycho killer from season 1, Malcolm. He's a part of or church or religion, whatever you want to call it, from with Guruji, right? And then we're also introduced to, and I cannot remember her name, Bataya, who's played by Kaliki Kalikian, and she was in Gully Boy. She's the British chick in Gully Boy, and she does a fabulous job as well. Telling her story, and again, it really this season's done a really good job of doing something that other shows don't do. A lot of shows, what they want to do is give you a whole bunch of exposition to fill in the backstory. Just an exposition dump here, 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 here. Season 2's really slowed down, which even the first one, I admit, is super long. But when they went back and gave us all the backstory instead of just telling us what happened and let us see why things happened, ended up the way they did, so to speak. How did the Ganesh become this legendary gangster in India? Why does everybody even know who he is? Like, okay, I know who Gotti is because I grew up in New York City in the Bronx. Okay, a lot of people around the country didn't know who John Gotti was unless you lived in that tri-state area, New York, Jersey, Connecticut, whatever. I mean, you know, and even if you did, you didn't know about all these other gangsters out there. But for everybody in Mumbai to know who he was, it must have been more to it. And now we know why he became so famous and how he went about doing it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you make a great point there when you were talking. When you, oh man, I missed the whole. I totally missed my mind. You made some awesome point that I was going to piggyback off of. But, anyways, oh, that's what you said. How it was connected with season 1. I feel like halfway through season 2, and like I said earlier, I kind of cheated a little bit. There were some people who just forgave because I went ahead of you. They want to kick me out of Boyne Land, but. I'm not going to give anything away from episode 5, but even I love how this show is very connected to season 1. It's not like here's season 1, here's the cool things that we did. Now we're going to do bigger and better, and it's not going to be connected. I feel in season 2, I'm going to be excited to go back to season 1 because I'm going to better understand what was happening. I already feel that way halfway through season 2, so I feel like shows where there's a sequel or a season 2 where they are all interconnected and you need to have those both together. It sucks for those one and waited a whole year or 9 months to get season 2. It's awesome for us that we came late to the party so we can just go right into it. But I love the show so far. The first half of season 2, the writing is fantastic. Are there parts I'm still confused about? Not just cultural, but just parts of the show, 100% questions. Maybe that's the point. But I love how it's connected. I want to say, someone mentioned Malcolm's a gangster in the comments. I want to mention we saw Malcolm there at the ashram. Right? He hasn't played a big part. He's a guy that talks from, but we see him there. So we see that connection. I mean, this guru guy, he had a lot of influence and playing it cool so far. He's just a nice, all-knowing guy who's all about love. We have not gone into the down and dirty if he has that dark side, typically with his dark side.
Right.
But I'm interested to see where it goes with that. But I love how connected season 1 and season 2 is. I love I know it's a book. They based it off a book, but it's not easy to abridge that into a TV series. So it's fantastic.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, that was a book. And guess what happened at the end of that? Once they ran out with the good writing, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that right now. But let's just say
like someone's smoke alarm needs to be replaced.
You know what? One of the questions I still have, bro, I'm still confused. Who is Trivedi? Because season 1 was like only Trivedi will survive. Only Trivedi survive. Only Trivedi survive. Is Trivedi the one? No, Trivedi couldn't be the guy that they found in the basement because that was the other guy that was also there as part of the cult.
Yeah, most of those questions aren't answered, and then that GQ India even mentions most of the answers in the first half of the season aren't answered yet that we had from season 1. But now I don't want to get confused with episode 5, so I'm not going to give you anything. It's episode 4. It might be episode 5. But in episode 4 or 5, there's a guy in a yellow shirt, longer shirt. I'm not sure what the Indian term is for that long. But the guy in the yellow gown, and he's talking to Nawaz, and they're having a conversation about Yadav. How did you get mixed up with Yadav, and why? How'd you get away? And have you seen that conversation yet, or no? Because that might be episode 5. Repeat that?
No.
The guy in the yellow gown.
That's got to be episode 5. I know episode 4. After Yadav finds out that Ganesh did what he wanted to do, she sends a hit squad after him. Man, I'm telling you, she's a straight gangster.
Who does she use? Who does she use against him?
Jamil. She uses Jamil against him. And Ganesh says, she called you, didn't she? And you told her where this location was. So he was already on point and knew what was going on. And they came for him, man. I mean, that's why I'm saying she became, for season 2 so far, she's been my favorite, my second favorite character, because she's in this world of gangsters and killers. She's outthinking them all, and she's ruthless as can be, but she's doing it with an altruistic, reason. It's all for her country. She could care less about their plights and their personal history. All she cares about is India. And now, as we find out moving on in the future, because Ganesh did what he did, now India and Mumbai has a real big issue, because this terrorist Khan is still around, and he's the one that's orchestrated this whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I love studying, and this was Gabe's idea from season 1, our review. I love studying the titles and figuring out what that means to better understand the episode. Started doing the research on these titles and their meanings. I thought, I probably already know a few of these things because they talk a lot about either mythology or history. In a story that Guru tells Nawaz, there's a story that someone else tells, I can't remember, I think Bhatya maybe tells Sartaj. And I'm like, okay, those are going to be direct to the titles. They're not. It goes even deeper than that. So it's a super good show. I'm enjoying it so far. I am fearful, not because so many people did not like season 2. I'm fearful if that's because they still don't answer questions, or if it's because they just mess things up with certain characters. But I will say, after we did our trailer reaction to season 2, a lot of folks mentioned that they really like season 2 a lot, if not better. We got a super chat from Niraj. Thanks so much, Niraj, for super chatting 5. He says, since Gabe asked, Trivedi is in the basement at the end of the first season. So that is Trivedi.
But he was dead already when they got to the basement. He had his head blown out. So why would he say Trivedi, only Trivedi will survive? That's really curious. Okay, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that's the question. And I have no idea. I've not gotten to at that point. Thanks again for that super chat, Niraj. But they have not gotten to that. But this is just my theory. I think the plan was to have him survive, that Gaitonde was not going to take him out, but there was some interference. Someone else got to him, maybe either before or Gaitonde takes himself out, and maybe they were down in the basement with Trivedi. Maybe that's a reason why Gaitonde took him. And so I think someone else broke the plan, and maybe a Malcolm or someone else, and took out Trivedi, even though that wasn't the plan. I'm just making assumptions that Shahid Khan has something to do with it. Maybe he had a man take him out, but I don't think that it's going to go against. It's going to be someone else that took him out. The question is why, because so far Trivedi doesn't make much of an appearance in this show. Why is he so important?
Right. Well, here's the thing. Going back to what you said earlier about why people may not like the show moving forward. Here's the thing, man. I was a huge Game of Thrones fan, bro. And I mean, the first few seasons were amazing. I mean, even the last season, the first couple episodes were good. And then at the end, they just absolutely jumped the shark. I don't want to ruin it for those people who haven't watched it, but they did something that made absolutely no sense. I'm like, oh, what are you kidding me? And I mean, you can mess up a show just by the end. Like The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos, but everybody complains about the ending of Sopranos because it's just left to interpretation. And everybody's like, you got to give it some kind of closure. You have to. Did Tony die? Did he not die? What's going on? So yes, the way you end a show could absolutely ruin it. And maybe people are just upset about the end where they don't get any answers. But, I guess that happens.
So I just learned how to do this. Our man Arjit.
Arjit says that's the wrong answer. Trivedi is somebody else. Ooh, I hope so. I hope so. It'd be sad.
I didn't know I could just click on it and it would show on the screen. That's so cool.
It would be sad if you know what I mean? Like if Trivedi was killed off screen unceremoniously. As much a big deal they made of him, it should be somebody important. You know what I mean?
Now Niraj is like, no, it is Trividi. All I know is from the article I used in the season 1 review to get the explanation for the titles, they mentioned that was Trividi at the end. Now, Arch is the first one that says it's not. I have no reason not to. Arjit has been there with us since the beginning. It's not just because of the super chat. Thanks again for that 40 super chat. That's awesome. But I tend to believe an argument made. But I will say, from what I've seen from just season 1, not season 2, that was Trividi. But again, that's coming after seen season 2. The person doing that article did not. So maybe he's given us a little bit of a spoiler there. Who knows? But now I'm even more interested to get that answer, that question. I'm going to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back.
If Asami's on here, if Asami's like, I love season 3 better. I saw that I went online and there's no season 3 yet, thankfully. So like that we can catch up. I know that really soon we have Mizupar season 2 coming up. So we want to finish this before we get to Mizupar season 2. And we got a lot more time now in our hands because we're in the middle of a lockdown. So we'll definitely be going to be going through stuff a lot quicker at this point. I will say this though, I am really still, I mean, man, Nawaz is such a fabulous actor, and I was trying to sign up for. I broke, Nick. I broke. All right, I'm like, I'm at home now. Don't tell me nobody's ever done this, right? So I wanted to do the Hotstar, right? And I was gonna do the trial membership, like you could do on Stars and HBO. 7 days, man. I'm canceling on the 6th day or whatever. Watch what I want to watch. Yeah, it don't work that way, man. There's no monthly. You got to do the whole year subscription. But we're gonna have to break and get and make it happen, man. So we can watch these movies. I have to see. Close. Just because OSR, in the interview with OSR, he specifically mentioned his role in Ramen Raka 2.0 as being like the darkest role he's played. I'm like, what? I gotta see it. I gotta see it. Did you guys see it? Let us know in the comments if you guys saw Ramen Raka 2.0. And how good was Nawaz in it?
Available on YouTube. We might just break down and spend the $4 and use some of this and break down and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, we might be able to do that too. Somebody said,
just
okay.
Real quick, to all of Boring Land, I am putting our email right here. This is a Boring Review Nation email. If you have a request that you want to give some too many from our email, go ahead and send us an email for some requests. I have been looking at that. And it's just another way to get in our request out. As always, Patreon. Our patrons are first and foremost. If you've been watching our videos, which I'm sure you have because you're here with us right now and you're more know that we get a lot of Patreon requests out there as soon as possible. And sometimes our Patreons get more than one a month. But if you want to make some requests and then go ahead and just email us. That's one good way to do it before they all start filling in. But that's our review for season 2. I know we missed a lot of things, especially with Sartaj, but even his character takes a back seat in this show to Gaitonde. I do think I think it's interesting how they keep showing him, not a lot, but here and there, where his father is in the past. They're showing his father on the phone with Nawaz and whatnot. So I'm interested to see if he plays a bigger role in this show. I'm super interested in that storyline. My heart breaks him having to deal with the fallout of his homie that got killed in season 1. But
yeah, that was.
I mean, I'm really enjoying this show. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying season 2. I'm probably going to finish this tomorrow or the next day. So look out for our review for the second half of season 2 in the next few days. I can't speak for Gabe. He has a big, busy schedule. He mentioned we have more downtime, but we still are teaching. So we still have obligations to take care of, but our evenings are definitely more cleared up to watch these shows. Season 2 is going strong. I'm loving every bit of it.
I'm with you. We're gonna probably finish this within the next few days here. Get that review out. And then after that, we're doing what, section 375, right?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, man. You gotta check it. Talk about it
I
right
know
now.
you are. I know you are. I'm on it. I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna get on it real quick. I will say though, man, there's a lot of stuff now as far as like streaming is concerned. So take advantage of them right now, guys. I know you guys mentioned earlier that you guys are also on lockdown now there in India. Stay safe, stay indoors. Caution is just the best. Better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? So just use caution. Only go out when you need to. Right now we've got New York, Florida, LA all locked down. Even here in Las Vegas, they've locked down most non-essential businesses. So really there's not too much foot traffic, so to speak. So, we just take this time, be with your family, watch some of those family films, family fun, fun films. I was sitting down and I was playing the Sacred Game episode earlier today. And Alex was like, "Oh, no, this is not for you. You got to go watch video games." So no,
I
but
did the same
yeah,
thing.
dude.
I will say that these first 4 episodes are better than season 1. Now you have, a lot of F-bombs, but I haven't seen really any questionable scenes as far as nudity and whatnot in the season. So I thought that was interesting. That makes it a little easier when a kid does walk in as we're watching it. I'm not ready to leave just yet. So some people are, we're not leaving just yet. We're just finishing our Sacred Games portion of this video, our review. Again, I'm sure we left out some stuff, but again, so far, Gabe, where do you think you're at from a scale of 1 to 10? Where are you at so far in season 2? I would say I'm at an 8 or 9, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay. Number ratings here. Number ratings. This is new for Boring Reviews.
Since it's not the end, we're gonna break the rules a little bit.
We're gonna break the rules. It's not the end. All right. You know what? I'd probably put it around the same thing, man. I'd say about 7.5, 8. Again, I love, and it's funny because we like different parts of the show. Sartaj is growing on me, so to speak, but Yadav is my new favorite character. Just seeing her being so in charge in the past and being a gangster controlling this whole thing, and then in the future seeing how she's a broken old woman and you could just see the regret on her face. I really like her storyline. And of course, come on, Nawaz is Nawaz, bro. He's the man. He's this season, bro. This season, I'm telling you, he could be on GQ magazine with some of these suits he's wearing. Man, does he look good in a suit, don't he?
They remind me almost sometimes like a 70s polyester suit, but he definitely does, he's styling and profiling, that's for sure. And he's wearing those suits when he's with Yadav. So I mean, what does that tell you? He's got the style with Yadav. Ooh, we got another super chat. This is from Yashwaswi. Sorry about that. Gabe and Nick. Here, we put it right here. Gabe and Nick, really thanks for keeping your review. Just say everything is good, even though it's really bad. Yeah, there's a huge temptation. I'm not going to lie. Having a YouTube channel where you have an audience like we have, it's really tempting to want to say, oh, it's fantastic. It's great. We love it so much. But what would the YouTube channel, we're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And sometimes it's a little scary for us to we're going to throw some hate, and we don't want to do that because we're going to have some people. But it's the nature of the beast. So are you going to get our 100% unfiltered truth? No, because we want it clean and whatnot. But we're always going to tell you our opinions about different things. If you watch my review on Shakti India, you know that I told the review on Newton or other movies. I didn't give it a glowing review. I also didn't bash those movies because they are not worthy of being bashed. I'm looking at you, Transformers 5 or 4, whatever. But we really appreciate that because we try to keep it real, and we're glad that you guys are enjoying it. We really do.